as we move now into the Big 12. Did pretty good, I would say. It is what it is with some of the ones that we got wrong. As we start with West Virginia upsetting Houston 45-13. The Cougars at home were favored by 13.5 points. Only loss this year was to Texas Tech. Now they lose to the Mountaineers, which is pretty interesting. I think the last time West Virginia made a trip down to H-Town, they lost, but they get one back on Houston there. Baylor, they hosted UCF and beat them 30-3. Kind of not surprising, but somewhat a little bit technically because Baylor's defense hasn't been so good. Only give up 3 points, so that's a good result. We move now to a game we got wrong there in Ames, Iowa, as Arizona State surprisingly beats the Cyclones 24-19. As we have some bad news to talk about in the news section about the quarterback situation, but the quarterback that started, Sims, gets the job done. Iowa State was favored by 7.5 points. There was a lot of injuries going into this for the Sun Devils, not only at the quarterback position, but their key weapon out wide, Jordan Tyson, was not available, but somehow, some way, they get the job done and don't count the Sun Devils out, I guess, somewhat for a possible title. Defending their titles, or I'm trying to go with what I was saying there. Very much an outside chance, but they kind of have to rely on other teams losing for that to actually happen. We move on to one we got right there in Manhattan, Kansas. 43-20 is the end result between the Wildcats and the Red Raiders, who win on the road and continue to win in the conference. Only losses to Arizona State so far this season. They're in Tempe. But doing all right. This game, pretty much what I expected. Scoring a lot of points. They shut down Avery Johnson. Had no issues with him. Somewhat, only giving up 20 points for that defense. Kind of acceptable, especially on the road. And they will meet up with BYU there in Lubbock for Week 11. Kansas hosted Oklahoma State in a win 38-21. I believe Kansas was favored by 7 points. Oh, no, sorry, 25. I read the wrong one on that. They don't cover, which is kind of surprising, somewhat. But we could kind of expect Oklahoma State to get a fight in there by the end of the season. They have been winless for quite a long time. This deep into their schedule. I think you have to go all the way back to the game against Abilene Christian in week 1, if I'm not mistaken, is their last win. Haven't been winning too many games the last couple of seasons, as they are still winless in conference and are at the very bottom in the Big 12. We move to a blowout there in Boulder, Colorado between Arizona and the Primetime Puffs. And it's another weekend where the Primetime Puffs get absolutely obliterated. This time it's the Wildcats who bear down there in Boulder 52-17. And not looking good for Coach Prime and his program. As you can't be losing by this many points back-to-back weekends, but kind of as expected, I guess, as they haven't made the right quarterback decision or switch yet. Continuing to go in with Salter, who will most likely not be the guy, and that's kind of what happens when you pick up a guy that is a decent prospect in the portal but doesn't fit your offense whatsoever. We move now to the other blowout in the Big 12, and that was between Utah and Cincinnati. 45-14 was the end result there. No points in the second half for the Bearcats. Very disappointing, but it is also Sam Eccles. Not a lot of teams win there. Texas Tech earlier this season, but they're at the top of the conference. Last year it was BYU. So again, not a very common thing. Does happen at times, and Cincinnati is not the one that gets it done. Utah was favored by 9 points. Kind of the reason why I guess I should have paid attention to that a little bit more. I think at the line The beginning of the week it was at 7, and it was keep on rising. I was like, damn, that's so disrespectful for Cincinnati, who has, you know, a pretty solid quarterback. I think they had a running back issue with injuries there. Maybe that was the difference, but obviously the defense giving up 45 points. Can't be doing that if you want to be considered a top team. As this is what the Big 12 standings look like so far after the game there in Salt Lake City. BYU still at the top, undefeated in conference play. They will be playing Texas Tech as the top 2 teams, kind of putting themselves in better positions with a win there. Cincinnati, after that loss, still in third. Yeah, 5-1. It's the first loss in conference play so far this season. Second loss overall. Houston, 4-2. Yeah, kind of crazy as they lose to West Virginia. Utah making a better case for themselves, but again, they have to rely on other teams to lose for them to get in, which is not good because the other teams that beat them is Texas Tech and BYU, who are at the top. Arizona State has a very, very slim chance looking outside there for the Sun Devils, but it helps out their chances with a nice win there in Ames. And then TCU, who had a bye week, they are 3-2. They basically have to win out and rely on other teams losing as well. But if I'm not mistaken, they play Utah this year. I'm not too sure about the BYU or Texas Tech. I think maybe they do play Texas Tech. Actually, let's just look at that real quick to clear up that. Yeah, they play BYU, Iowa State, Houston. Oh, they don't play Utah. Oh, that's a little disappointing. Anyways, they do play Houston, and so they have a decent amount of games that they win out. That, who knows? We could be seeing the Horned Frogs play for a Big 12 title, which hasn't happened since 2022, right? Yeah, when they played in the national championship and got blown out by Georgia.